Today's topic for discussion is pelvis. Pelvis is made up of two hip bones and one sacrum. Two hip bones are are articulated anteriorly by its pubic part, forming the pubic symphysis, which is a secondary cartilaginous joint. Posteriorly, the ilium of the hip bone articulates with the sacrum to form the plain synovial sacroiliac joint. Okay. Then this pelvis is having true pelvis and false pelvis. So this is the false pelvis. So this is the false pelvis. False pelvis is bounded on the lateral sides by the blades of ilium, and anteriorly it is completed by the anterior abdominal wall. Okay. And this is a true pelvis. Now the line which demarcates between the false pelvis and true pelvis is called as pelvic brim. We will see how it is formed. Before that, I will tell you how to hold the pelvis in an anatomical position. So there are three important things which you should remember. This is anterior superior iliac spine. This is pubic tubercle. To hold the pelvis in anatomical position, this anterior superior iliac spine and the pubic tubercle should be in the same vertical plane. Okay, both of them should be in the same vertical plane. This surface, the inner surface of the pubis, should be facing upwards and backwards, and this sacral hiatus should be directed vertically upwards. Okay, so these are the things which you should remember while holding the pelvis in anatomical position. Now, the line which separates the true pelvis from the false pelvis is called as pelvic brim. From posterior to anterior, this is sacral promontory, that is the upper anterior border of the first sacral vertebrae is called as sacral promontory. Ala of sacrum, arcuate line, iliopubic eminence, pecten pubis, pubic crest, and up till the symphysis pubis. So this is the pelvic brim. So arcuate line, iliopubic eminence, pecten pubis and pubic crest are together called as linea terminalis. Okay. So this is how the true pelvis is separated from the false pelvis. Sorry, I made a mistake. This is not a sacral hiatus, this is sacral canal, which should be directed upwards, vertically upwards. Okay, next we will proceed to the functions of pelvis. Now this bony pelvis transmits weight in standing position from the vertebral canal to the lower extremities through sacroiliac joint as well as through the hip joint. Okay, in standing position. So the line of buttress passes just along or just near to the arcuate line in standing position, whereas in sitting position the vertebral column transmits the body weight through the sacroiliac joint to the ischial tuberosities, on the medial side of ischial tuberosities, and the line of buttress is passing almost vertically through the body of ischium. Okay. Next function is the pelvis. True pelvis gives protection to the pelvic organs, that is the terminal part of alimentary canal and the urogenital organs, uterus and urinary bladder in case of females and urinary bladder in case of males. Next is this pelvis provides surface for attachment of the muscles of trunk and muscles of lower extremity, also the muscles of pelvic and urogenital diaphragms. Next function is the female pelvis makes a room for accommodation of fetal head and guides the act of parturition through the birth canal. And another important function is the total examination of the pelvis with different measurements and indices, which we will be discussing. It helps in differentiation of female and male pelvis, that is sex determination. Okay. So these are the functions of pelvis. Now this is a pelvic cavity. This pelvic cavity is having inlet. This brim is called as the inlet. This is the cavity and this is the outlet. Okay. If you see the outlet from this side, this is the outlet. So this outlet anteriorly formed by lower border of pubic symphysis, anterolaterally by the conjoint ramus, ischiopubic ramus, laterally by ischial tuberosities, posteriorly by coccyx. So posterolaterally it is bounded by sacrotuberous ligament. Okay. So if you see, it is almost diamond shape.
Yes.
So it is, the outlet is diamond shape and its planes are different. Anteriorly it is going downwards and posteriorly, whereas the posterior plane is coming downwards and anteriorly like this. This is the outlet, pelvic outlet. Okay. Now we will discuss the male female differences in pelvis. For that I am also taking the male pelvis here, female pelvis here. So this is the female pelvis and this is the male pelvis. So you can see, if you look at the cavity, this is almost oval and this is heart shape. Okay, this is the cavity or the inlet of the pelvis. Now see the subpubic angle. This is the subpubic angle. This is wider in females as compared to the subpubic angle in males. Okay. So subpubic angle wider in females almost 80 to 90 degrees and narrower in males almost 60 degrees. Okay. After that, this is the obturator foramen. This is triangular and smaller in females, whereas it is oval and larger in males. Obturator foramen. Acetabular cavity is larger in males. Also, if you trace the transverse diameter of the acetabular cavity, this one is equal to the distance between anterior margin of acetabular cavity to the pubic symphysis. It is equal, whereas this distance of the transverse diameter of the acetabular cavity is less than the distance between anterior margin of acetabulum to the pubic symphysis. Means this part is longer than this part in females. Okay, whereas it is equal in males. After that, if you see the conjoint ramus, the lower margin of the conjoint ramus is everted in males and it is plain in females. This is everted conjoint ramus. Then coming to the sciatic notch, this is greater sciatic notch. This is wider in females. Okay, almost 75 degrees, and this is narrower in males, 50 to 60 degrees. Okay, greater sciatic notch, wider in females, narrower in males. This ischial spine is inverted in males, whereas these are not inverted in females or outturned in females. Okay. Next is preauricular sulcus, where you can see the preauricular sulcus just above the greatest, on the inner side of greater sciatic notch. This is the preauricular sulcus. This preauricular sulcus is also the feature of female pelvis, that too in the Paris woman. Okay. In the Paris female, this is the preauricular sulcus. Okay. In the Paris female, this is because of stretching of the bone by the dorsal sacroiliac ligament during pregnancy. Okay, this is preauricular sulcus. Next is, if you see the sacrum, the transverse diameter of the body of the first sacrum is equal to the ala, width of the ala in females, whereas in males this transverse diameter of the first sacral vertebrae is larger than the ala. Okay, so this is one more difference. There are many more differences, but now we are just concentrating on the important features of male-female differences. Also, the important thing, female pelvis is lighter and male pelvis is heavier. That is, male bones are heavier than the female bones. Muscular markings are more prominent in males as compared to in females. So next important point is chilotic line. So chilotic line extends from the iliopubic eminence to the auricular surface of the ilium and then to the iliac crest. So this is the posterior segment of chilotic line and this is the anterior segment of chilotic line. So in males, the anterior segment is smaller than the posterior segment of phyllotic line. Okay. Whereas in females, the anterior segment is longer than the posterior segment of phyllotic line, because we want wider pelvis in females. Okay, for accommodation of the baby. So in females, the anterior segment of phyllotic line is longer than the posterior segment of phyllotic line. Now if you look at the cavity, pelvic cavity in male and female, in males the pelvic cavity is longer, okay, and it is getting narrower as it goes downwards. In females, the cavity is shorter and it is almost of the same length, same width, inlet and outlet. So I will explain it to you on the basis of one diagram. So this is male pelvis, female. Male pelvis is the longer part of the short cone. So you can see the walls of male pelvis are converging downward. Whereas female pelvis is a smaller part of the long cone. So its walls are almost vertical. Okay, they are not converging. So female pelvis. Also female pelvis is shorter. The cavity is shorter as compared to male pelvis. Okay. Okay. So these were the differences in males and females. So one more thing, sacral index. What is sacral index? Maximum breadth of sacrum upon maximum length of the sacrum multiplied by 100. It is almost 105 in males, whereas in females it is 115. Okay. So these are the male-female differences. In exam, don't focus on the shape of the cavity and how it is looking. The important points when you are asked to identify the sex of a given pelvis, you will note, first thing you will see the subpubic angle. Okay. Next thing you will see the sacrum, the width of the first sacral vertebrae and the ala. Next you will see the phyllotic line, anterior segment and posterior segment. You will compare the acetabulum, the transverse diameter of acetabulum with the distance of anterior border of acetabulum to the pubic symphysis. This should be longer in female. Also you can see the obturator foramen, which is triangular and smaller in females, and istiopubic rami, which is not everted in females. So these are the points you have to focus when you are asked the sex of the given pelvis. Okay, and explain accordingly. Now there are certain measurements of pelvis. So we measure the anteroposterior diameter of the pelvis, transverse diameter of the pelvis and diagonal diameter. So these three measurements are taken at three levels: at the inlet, at the cavity and at the outlet. Okay. So at the inlet, this anteroposterior diameter is measured from midpoint of the sacral promontory to the upper border of pubic symphysis. This is the anteroposterior diameter in the inlet. Transverse diameter is measured at the farthest point on the lateral side, okay, in the inlet. Diagonal is measured from the point on the sacroiliac joint to the opposite iliopubic eminence. This is the oblique. Okay. Now when the fetal head enters the pelvic cavity of the mother, it passes transversely through the inlet, then it gets diagonal in the cavity, and then it orients as a anteroposterior in the pelvic outlet. That is, I am telling, the face, that is the distance from the glabella or the face from to the occipital protuberance. It is oriented first transverse, then diagonal and then anteroposterior. So in inlet, the transverse diameter is the largest one. So it is about 13 centimeters. Transverse diameter of the inlet is 13, oblique diameter is 12 and anteroposterior is 11 centimeters. Okay, so 13, 12 and 11. Okay. After that, for the cavity, anteroposterior is measured from the midpoint of the third sacral vertebrae to the midpoint of the posterior surface of pubic symphysis. Okay, anteroposterior. Oblique is measured from the midpoint of the obturator foramen or the midpoint of the obturator membrane to the middle of the sacrotuberous ligament. Next, coming to the measurements of cavity. In cavity, we have seen anteroposterior. The oblique is measured from the center of the obturator membrane to the lower point of the sacroiliac joint. Up till here, this is oblique diameter of the cavity. And the transverse is measured between the two ischial spines. Okay. So it is almost 12, 12, 12 in cavity measurements are almost 12 cm, 12 cm and 12 cm. Easy to remember. Then coming to the outlet. In outlet, anteroposterior is measured from the tip of coccyx posteriorly to the lower border of symphysis pubis anteriorly. Transverse is measured as the distance between two ischial tuberosities. And oblique is measured from the midpoint of conjoint ramus to the midpoint of sacrotuberous ligament, like this. Okay. So this is oblique, and I already told you in outlet we want anteroposterior diameter as the widest one. So anteroposterior diameter should be, or the anteroposterior distance should be 13 in outlet, whereas the transverse is the smallest, which should be 11, and the oblique is 12. So just the reverse of the measurements of inlet. Okay. So these are the pelvic measurements. Then there are few conjugates, oblique diagonal conjugate, obstetric conjugate and external conjugate. Okay. I'll just tell you.